Hey YouTube family, I am back. I know it's been a very long time. So I do owe you guys a video. I owe you guys an update, and I'm sure by the titling of this video, you can see why I haven't been making any videos. And so to pick up where I last left off, we had just entered into our 8-week of pregnancy, and everything was pretty much going good. And I think I left off telling you guys, kind of leave us like some good vibes and prayers and things like that as we were getting ready to go into our next ultrasound. And so it was October 11th that we had our appointment, and we went into the appointment like the first appointment, with excitement, hoping to be able to hear the heartbeat. And so what I'm going to do is just play a clip. I was able to get some of the recording of that day. And so what I'll do is add that into this next clip, and then I'll give you guys my feelings on everything following that. Okay, be right back.
Okay. So,
No, that's the baby.
yep. So, do you want me to share this with just you first? Because it's not a there. So, I will take measurements here.
Okay.
But at 8 weeks and 2 days, I would expect the fetus to have grown
Okay.
more than what we're looking at right now.
Okay.
So that is my first concern. At 8 weeks and 2 days, we should see what looks like a baby with arms and legs.
Okay.
In the initial scrolling through, I don't see a heartbeat, but sometimes it takes a little bit of time to see that. So that's what I'm going to focus on now. But I also, like I said, want to just make sure you guys have your privacy and you
Yes.
know. I'm going to start taking some measurements, and I will let you know.
Okay.
I do see a heartbeat here. So I'm measuring what's called the crown rump length, so from the head to the bottom.
Okay.
And at this point, it is measuring quite a bit smaller.
Okay.
I don't have the number memorized, but this looks to me like when we saw you last time, about the same size.
Okay.
I'll go back through and see what the actual measurement was, but again, we would expect at this point for the pregnancy to have at least doubled in size.
Okay.
And so my concern is that shortly after you were seen, it does not look like the pregnancy continued to grow.
Okay.
And I have not seen a heartbeat during my scanning of this pregnancy. I will keep looking here, but again, at over 8 weeks, it should be quite obvious. It should be very visible. And if the growth has not changed in that 2-week time frame, then my concern is that it probably stopped growing shortly after we saw you last time. In which case, we would not expect the heartbeat to still be there if that was the case, if it stopped growing. Both measurements that I'm getting are consistent with about 6 weeks and 3 days. This right here is the yolk sac. We don't use this to measure growth, but typically a yolk sac that is of this size compared to the fetus with no heartbeat is a sign that there is something abnormal happening, and that the fetus hasn't obviously grown, but then the other structures inside of the uterus are now taking abnormal shape as well. Again, the gestational sac and the other measurements that I'm getting here are not the best measure of growth and development. Really, at this point, the crown rump length, which is the measurement of the fetus that we got, is.
So in the first video, you can kind of hear her saying, like, you sure you want me to, you know, discuss everything with your family on the phone? From her tone, I can kind of tell that something was wrong. I could look at the screen and see there was something wrong. And if you look at the screen, you can obviously see, you know, that the pregnancy wasn't progressing or hadn't progressed. And so, you know, she goes through the motions of going over everything and telling us, you know, what's happened, what it should be, what it shouldn't be, things that they look for, and so many other things that we just wasn't expecting to hear. And so once she finished doing the ultrasound, because I kind of cut it off before she finished the ultrasound, just because it was a lot. It was a lot to process. Still at times it's a lot to process. Even talking to you guys about it right now is a lot to process. And so after she finished the ultrasound, I remember her going over, like, you know, we have options to move forward, things that we can do, next steps, about us taking our time. We could go home and think about it. I remember feeling numb. I was so numb to the point where my wife had to literally, physically pull me up off of the table. She had to dress me. All I remember is crying and mourning our child that we were not going to be able to see in the next 32 weeks, give or take. She had to dress me. I mean, I remember her saying, you know, positive affirmations like, this is not your fault, you know, this is your body's way of protecting you and the baby, that I'm strong enough to get through this, that she was there. I mean, she said a lot of things, but my body was there, but my mind, like, I don't even know how to explain it, honestly. Like, I wish this on no one, because it's not something that I feel like anyone should have to experience. And it just sucks that it is so common, yet it's not talked about enough. And so you never really know what to expect when it comes to miscarriages. I remember just leaving there. My wife, again, had to put me in a car. I somehow mustered the strength to be able to walk from that room to the car. You know, she got me in a car, put on my seatbelt. It was the longest drive ever from the doctor's appointment to our home. and it's usually like maybe a 20-minute drive, but it felt so much longer than that. It really did. So I remember that I had left work early because we were going to the appointment. And so, oh, and I missed the part. So just to backtrack, when we were in the appointment, the voices that you hear in the background, that's my mom, my mom-in-law, and my sister. They were on the phone for the ultrasound, because the first appointment we had my mom and my mother-in-law on the phone. They were the only two on the phone. I thought it would be special for them to be on the phone, and then to have the moms or the grandparents and the aunts on the phone. But Jasmine's sister had class, so she had to go, and Jasmine's grandmother had an appointment, so she had to go. But those three were able to still be on the phone. So those are the voices that you hear in the background. And so we got home. I remember clocking in to work, clocking back in, working the rest of my entire shift. Got off at 3:30. I think I was on autopilot. I had no emotion. Jasmine told me not to go to work, but of course I didn't listen. I just went back to work. I remember getting off and just like immediately when I clocked out, I remember just crying. Just sitting at my computer desk crying. I think I cried a good 30 minutes to an hour after I clocked out. Then I got in the shower and I cried some more. I don't think I ever cried so much in my life. But after that miscarriage, I think every day for the next 2 weeks, I cried. It was a pain that I had never felt. It's a pain that going through this TTC process, I'm afraid that I may feel again. So it makes me nervous and scared to try. Just doing this video took me a while to get to sit down to tell you guys what's going on, because at the beginning of our journey out, I've always said that I want to be as transparent as I possibly can, but I needed to take time to heal most of me, to feel those feelings, to allow space for them, to not just shove it under the rug and just kind of say I'll deal with it later. Feelings like that, for me, I had to feel it right then and there. I couldn't pick up the camera. I couldn't do any of that. And luckily, we are so blessed. My sister and sister-in-law, they live in Georgia. And so they are a few hours away from us. And so they came down and they stayed with us for about almost 2 weeks. And they made space for us to be sad, be mad, be happy, be whatever we were feeling at that time. I mean, they made sure we were eating and that the house was kept up and that, we were taking care of ourselves. And they just really showed us unconditional love. They allowed for us to vent. They just allow for so much, and we truly needed that. It was the boost that we needed in order to be able to continue on in our day-to-day. And they just loved on us. They truly did. It's a debt that I would never be able to repay. But I'm truly grateful to have them in my life. And so after they went home, we were sad. It was hard to see them leave, but we couldn't keep them hostage. I mean, after my sister them left, I think I cried some more. I don't know if it was like it. her leaving to go back to her normal life, and me and my wife sitting here to have to deal with this. Almost felt like we were alone, but I knew we weren't alone. I just couldn't hold my sister and him hostage anymore. But I was so sad when they left. I felt like I was losing another piece of me. And that's been this whole thing. Like, when you go through a miscarriage, it's like you lose a piece of yourself. It's like it's a piece of you that you lost. I had to mourn the excitement of a baby coming. I had to mourn the emotions that I had around this baby coming, the plans that we were making, the idea of everything, just everything. I had to mourn that. And I just feel like a lot of people, I don't know, I guess because I've never really watched a miscarriage video. I mean, I've watched a few, but I've never really heard anyone really kind of talk about what they mourn, what they feel like they've lost in that process. But I had to mourn all of that. I had to mourn so many different things that I didn't think that we would have to do. And so during the time my sister was here, I'm sorry guys, I've tried to not get emotional. Hold on. All right, had to get some for my nose. But during the time my sister were here, I found some strength to figure out and talk to my nurse to figure out what our next steps were. Because of course, we had to stop taking the medication. There was no longer a need for that. And so she told us that we can do either a natural, we could allow the baby to pass naturally, or we could come in, I think it was for DNC or take some type of medication. So we opted out for the natural process. And so that was a journey in its own. We stopped all medication. We allowed for everything to kind of take its natural course. I started bleeding maybe that Friday. So I want to say the ultrasound was maybe like a Monday or Tuesday. I'm not sure. I'm recording off of my phone, so I can't look at my calendar. But that Friday I started bleeding. It was spotting, and then it became like a full cycle. And I remember the day, I don't have the date, but I want to say a few days later, maybe like that Sunday or Monday, I had these really violent, like really violent cramps. And it just, like, it's like my body was attacking me. I mean, it hurt really bad. And so I remember sitting on the toilet and just praying like, Lord, if this is the baby, please just allow the baby to pass, and so that we can, move forward. And so I remember as I could feel everything shifting downwards, I looked inside the toilet and I literally saw the baby pass. And so it was oddly beautiful and sad all at the same time. It was amazing to see what my body could do, but sad that we were at this point in the pregnancy. This is what our pregnancy had resulted to. And so we had passed the baby naturally. I just didn't want to go through any surgery where it could possibly affect us proceeding forward. I remember small things just triggering me and Jasmine. Like, I had a ringtone that I set for our alarm, but when we would have to take the medication and do our shots and stuff. And I remember one day we went to the store. Me and the dog stayed inside the car, but Jasmine came out, in full tears. And I'm thinking like, somebody done tried her or something like that. But somebody's phone inside of that store was ringing the same ringtone we had set for the medication, and just like that, she was triggered. And so it's been a process. We are in a better place. We are in a better state of mind. I am now in therapy because, you know, this train is not going to stop until we have conceived our child. But I did want to come back and give you guys an update. I feel like there's parts of this journey, this miscarriage, that I could possibly be missing, leaving out. I just didn't want to get on here and be super emotional. I just kind of wanted to get on here, give you guys the facts of what was happening. And then that way it didn't look like, you know, there was a skip in our journey, or that you guys had missed something. I know some of you follow me on Instagram, and I kind of just made a post, but I didn't really drop any details. And so I thank you guys for just loving on me in my time of need, being patient and understanding, allowing me that space, because a lot of us, we do have connections off of social media. And so I thank you guys for that, allowing us to have that time, but also checking in and just making sure that, you know, we're still, you know, doing as best as we could at that time. And so, yeah, we are looking towards the future. We will try again. Of course, once we have got everything up and going and, you know, details and all of that, we will go from there. But this video isn't about that. I just wanted to come in, let you guys know that that's why you hadn't heard from me or us, is because we had a miscarriage, but we are doing better. So thank you so much for your patience and still rocking with us. I do show that we have a few new subscribers. So thanks guys for joining the tribe. I hope that the videos that you have watched, that you've enjoyed them, and that you continue to enjoy the videos that we hope to be able to put out in the near future. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. For all of your love, all of your support and encouragement. It is much appreciated, and it does not go unnoticed. So thank you. Until next time, peace.